Howdy, everyone. Matt here. I got a question for you. How much accountability should we put onto patients when it comes to their health? Let's talk about it. All right, everyone. First and foremost, let me introduce myself. My name is Matt. I am Matt the PT, coming at you with another video, another topic of something from the physical therapy world. And this one is about accountability. And before we get into that, if you haven't subscribed here, please hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel so much. And thank you to everyone who has done that so far. But like I said about it, accountability. And this is something I have seen over the years. And it's something that I don't know if we really want to talk about it a lot. And I think it is something that we do need to talk about because like whenever it gets brought up, it always kind of gets put over to that thing of, oh, you're patient blaming. Oh, no, you can't do that because you're putting this too much on them and you're not doing the right thing. And it comes from this thing that I think people put too much blame of anything on the providers. If people are not getting better or they're not well or whatnot, they blame providers. The example, look at right now what's going on with what RFK said about putting the 40 hours of nutrition training into med school. And so everyone's cheering that because they're saying, well, doctors don't know enough about nutrition to help people. So we need to put that there so they have it so they can educate the people on this. But I'm going to say this, and I will ask this question. How many times have you heard from a family member, a friend, or a patient sitting in front of you that when you brought up something, they go, oh, that doctor doesn't know what they're talking about. They told me that. So wait a minute. You've rejected what this person has told you. Okay. How often have you had that happen? And I bring this up every time I see that this thing brought up is to say, okay, if that is implemented on that end and nothing changes in 10 years or whatnot, what is the thing? Are we going to realize where, okay, well, we're looking at this stuff over here where we didn't say, okay, you actually have to take this into consideration and actually do this. Because I really believe in healthcare that it's not always 50-50. Okay. It's not, I do 50% of the work and the patient does 50%. And I would say that it varies for everybody. There are times when I'm only doing 10% of the work and the patient has to do 90%. There are times when I have to do 90% of the work and they only have to do 10%. Like there is this continuum all across the board. But I see us as providers, we can only do so much. I can only give you so much of something. You need to pick it up and to go further with this. And I believe it's, like I said, this is a thing that people just don't want to talk about because it is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to talk about that. And people will get angry. And I was talking with a psychologist one time about this, and they said, yeah, people don't like the truth. Like they're more comfortable with lies or misrepresentations of stuff. Maybe lies was a little too much, but they're like, the truth can hurt. The truth can hurt, but the truth doesn't change. You can be mad at it all you want, but that truth doesn't change. And so whenever like you're interacting with a person, you're dealing with a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, family member, or whatnot, and you tell them something the truth, they can be mad all they want, but it's the truth. You can be mad at that, but yes, the lie, the little white lie or whatnot is comforting. That's okay. That helps me, but you can't deal with the truth on it. But you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to be accountable. And one thing that I have really seen over the years, unfortunately, with like some of these big companies, is that they were always so quick to blame the therapist. And I even see this with physicians. They're so quick to blame the therapist. So if a patient has ever says, well, that didn't work over here. The therapy didn't work. Immediately they blame the therapist. Immediately. Oh, it's their fault. It's their fault. They don't even go into it. I have had companies I work for, the moment that a patient said something about they didn't get better or this person immediately Oh, no. It's your fault. It's the therapist's fault. Physicians do that. It is so crazy physicians do that. Is that they go back, patient goes back to the physician and they said, well, the therapy didn't work. Immediately they blamed them. But a funny thing, if we told the physician that, well, the patient told us, no, that is true. That person's not, they're not telling the truth. They're not doing it. Totally different story on that. But I'll tell you, I've had times when people have, well, this doesn't work. Well, hang on. How often have you come in to therapy? And I'll tell you, some of the people that do this, they didn't like that. They didn't like that to say like, okay, well, how often did you miss coming in? How often were you late coming in? How often were you doing your exercises? How often were you pushing yourself and wanting to progress when you were coming in here? And people don't like that. I'll tell you, I've had too many of them. Well, that's when stuff comes out. And it's this interesting thing that if they complain back to the management about that, they don't want to hold that person accountable to say, well, honestly, well, yeah, we looked through your notes and we were seeing that you were late, that you've missed, over half of your appointments, that you were constantly showing up late. It's documented that you were never doing your exercises, that you did. Okay. So you didn't get better because of this. And I think that needs to be a uncomfortable discussion that we have with a lot of people and again, I'm not saying this is a patient blaming thing, but a thing that I believe will help more people is to say, you have to be accountable. Look at any motivational speaker or somebody who has succeeded in some form or fashion. One of the things that they will tell you, or that they say that they did for themselves, is they said, I looked in the mirror and I told myself the truth. I admitted that I had been lying to myself. Motivational speakers tell us like, no, you take accountability. You have to pick up your cross and you have to go do this. You have to, no one else is going to do it. You have to work at it. Is it going to be fun? Maybe not all the time. Is it going to be hard? Probably. Is it going to be discomfort? Possibly. But you have to do that. No one ever has said that does anything successful. The first thing I did was to blame everyone else and to say it was all your fault. Nothing was mine. They were like, hey, I did what I could do to get better or to get this or to do this. Things come up, I handle them and I went about it. And I truly believe so much in healthcare is that if there was an aspect where people said, I did for myself, if I tried to do as much that, and I'm not saying doing it all by yourself, because that's where we're here. I'm here to help. We are here to help you. I want to give you the knowledge, the tools, those things to help yourself. And when you do take those things, that's when you get better. I mean, heck, think of any, somebody who has mastered something or do whatever. They worked with somebody. Somebody taught them, gave them that to work on and to get better. It's not that they were like, nope, I just took it all on myself and I've just figured it out the whole day. That I'm saying, like, I'm thinking of welding all of a sudden in my head. It's not when it's like, yeah, I just went and bought some stuff and I just started welding everything. You don't think that they went and like worked with a master welder, took courses, read stuff about it, watched a YouTube video or something on it. You're getting educated on those things, but you learn that. And you take it upon yourself to get better. And this is so, and if we really want to see a good example of it, look in with fitness. I have friends who are trainers. The number of things that people will say when they don't want to push themselves in their exercises, especially the big thing is when it comes to their eating, that they will always have something of saying about why they couldn't track their calories. Well, it was somebody's birthday so we went out for do this. Well, I just had a stressful day at work. Well, no, I'm just too, that they did not take it upon themselves to say, okay, I did these things to make myself better. And if you look at most people that do well in like fitness, it's the people that said, I held myself accountable. I did the things I was supposed to do. And I do believe that needs to go over to healthcare too. Like what we do with therapy, that patients say, hey, give me the tools, give me the things, and I will do them. I want to be in me as a therapist to say, yes, I want to walk with you. I want to help you. I will give you those things to get you better. And I will tell you, there's something as a therapist that is so emotionally draining of when you put all this work into somebody, all this stuff, you educated, you worked, you did all these stuff, done so much, and the person was like, nah, I'm just not going to do any of it. And then they turn around and blame you that you didn't get better, but because I gave you all the stuff, but you just didn't want it. And they don't want to accept to say, no, it was my fault that I didn't try, that I didn't do these things. And I will say, I'll be honest in this part, whenever people said stuff about this didn't work or that, first question is, all right, how often do you do exercise? How long do you do this? How long do you do this? And start digging in and start finding out, oh, there were flaws. There was issue. There was things that they did not hold themselves up. Is that every single one? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's everybody. I'm not saying that it wasn't the therapist's fault or they did the wrong thing. I'm not saying that. That happens. That is an aspect. But is it all of them? Most likely not. But like I said, I think we need to have that tough discussion overall with people to say, if you want these things to get better with your health, you have to trust and listen and take it upon yourself. Don't just say, well, let me just wait for all this other stuff to happen and it's going to trickle down for me. No. Listen to the tools, do the things. You may not like everything that you say, that you hear, excuse me. You may not like everything that you hear. That is a true thing. You may not like it, but sometimes it's the truth. You don't have to like the truth, but the truth is the truth. You may not like it, but it's like, okay. And I remember this time I had to have a super hard conversation with a patient, and it was a guy, he had a knee scope. And first off the bat, he's talking about he had sent his orders to his stuff to all these doctors, and nobody had contacted. So he's trying to find the best doctor around to do it. And he finally got somebody to do this knee surgery. And he was talking about, I've looked up these supplements and these herbs and this and this and this. I'm trying to do this and I want to be able to do a triathlon and do all this. I was like, cool. And so I evaluated his knee and I gave him exercise. And I said, I want you to start on this. And he came back the next time and he was again talking about, I'm doing all this stuff. And I said, did you even do your exercises? No. It's like, so you want to do all of these things, but you can't take the first step of actually doing physical work to help you. And he was like, oh, I said, you're not going to achieve all this stuff. You can go see the best doctors in the world, but if you don't do at least the stuff that we give you, you're not going to get there. And he was very uncomfortable with it. He was so uncomfortable with that conversation because it didn't line up. He was thinking, if I do these other things, it's going to help me. No, you have to carry this yourself. You have to do this to get better. And I will say, unfortunately, he didn't like that and he stopped coming. I don't know how he did, but I remember I had to have that very hard conversation. And I came at it from, again, a place of genuine compassion and love and care. That's what I want. And sometimes it is having a hard conversation to say, hey, carry these things. And I think we need to be supported by our peers in medicine and healthcare and by the management in there. That if you have this hard conversation with somebody and they don't like it, well, it's still the truth. And I believe that is so detrimental to patients when we start sugarcoating things because we're scared that the doctor, the surgeon, the physician, whomever is going to get mad. We're going to get an angry phone call, or our manager is going to be like, well, you can't talk. No, we had to have this hard conversation because they have to hear it to motivate them to do this. And yes, there are so many ways to do it. I'm not saying that you have to be the drill sergeant. Somebody's going to take that out of context. No, having this hard discussion. And sometimes it is sitting down and, sometimes you can be a drill sergeant with people. Yeah, you can. Sometimes, no, I want to be soft and sweet, but I'm going to have that. I will answer any questions. I will be here for you. Anyway, Let me know your thoughts, opinions, beliefs, all that down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that thumbs up button. And of course, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you a copay or anything. And until next time, take care of yourself. Take care of your patients. I'll see you then.